everyone, and thank you for taking the time to join us this evening to hear a little bit about our new maths programme, Maths My Way, for junior infants to second class. Joined this evening by two of our authors. We have Patrick Neary, who is our series editor and one of our authors of first and second class. And we have Elaine Dillon, who is the author of Senior Infants. So you're going to hear more from Patrick and Elaine shortly. But before I hand over to them, I'm just going to give you a very quick overview of the programme components in Maths My Way. So, as I said, we've released Maths My Way now for junior infants to second class, and we will have third to sixth class coming for you next year. The programme consists of student books. We also have number practice books for infants. We have teaching slides. We have a whole suite of digital resources, as well as teacher guides and online printables. So everything you need there to get you started with the new curriculum and support you with the approaches and methodologies of it. So I'm going to hand you over now to Patrick and Elaine, and they are going to take you through the creation of Maths My Way and all of the resources that are available within it. During the presentation this evening, please do feel free to ask questions in the chat. Just drop in any questions you have there. I'll be online as the guys are presenting here, and I'll reply to anything I can, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end for any questions I want to put to Patrick and Elaine then. So I'll see you again at the end.
Thanks a million, Ciara. So just share my screen here. Okay, so now, can you see the PowerPoint properly there?
Yeah, that's good, Patrick. Thanks.
All good. Great. So first of all, we're just going to discuss why we created Maths My Way. I've been studying maths teaching for a number of years now. And for me, I love maths lessons that are collaborative, that challenge all of our students, and that are creative spaces where children can chat through their thinking and record their solutions in ways that make sense to them. It's been a really huge pleasure to work with the authoring team on Maths My Way, with Elaine and the other authors, and with Ciara and the great team in Folands to create Maths My Way and to try and bring this vision to life. To begin, I want to set the scene a little bit in terms of the major international assessments that Ireland takes part in, namely TIMSS and PISA. Both of these studies paint a really positive picture of maths education in Ireland. We're still waiting for the TIMSS 2023 results. Some of your schools might have taken part in that study. I know our school did, where they came into our fourth class with the laptops to take part in that study. But in the 2019 study, our fourth class students performed relatively high compared to other countries. So 7 countries performed significantly above Ireland. 4 countries were about the same as us, and 46 countries performed significantly below Ireland. I wanted to show this because it's really important to take a moment to commend our colleagues, to commend each other, and everyone here tonight on this great achievement. Despite the many challenges that our schools face, the commitment of teachers to providing high quality teaching and learning is really evident in these results. In short, we have a huge amount of expertise in this country, and it's such a great starting point when we're bringing in a new curriculum. TIMSS 2019 did highlight 2 areas that we could work on, despite our ranking in that study. So in Ireland, our higher achieving students perform less well than their peers in other countries. And this suggests that they could be stretched further. And then the area of geometry was identified as a relative weakness in maths. So these are two areas that when we were designing Maths My Way and when we were planning and writing the units that we really focused on these two areas. In the context of the new curriculum, it's really important that as teachers, we keep doing what is working well for our students and that we incorporate the new practices and the new approaches from the new curriculum to further enhance teaching and to really support our students. All of the Maths My Way authors have vast expertise in the area of maths education. The first research reports for this curriculum were published back in 2014. So the research that this is based on is out there for a long time. And those reports and the other reports that have followed since have certainly shaped my understanding of how best to teach and how children best learn maths. The point I'm making by referencing these is that while this is a new curriculum, there's been work going on this in the background for years. And it's great to see the final curriculum published and school closure days happening for training for everyone and the familiarization stage going well. As the authoring team, we aim to support teachers in bringing this new curriculum to life. And throughout the process of writing Maths My Way, all of the material went through extensive teacher review. In the new curriculum, learning outcomes will now describe expected learning in maths. And these are quite broad, describing learning across a 2-year band. In the curriculum, the learning outcomes are grounded in the sentence you can see there, through appropriately playful and engaging learning experiences. And this really helped us in the types of activities we included. When we look at this sentence stem, it's important to remember that playful and engaging doesn't just mean games or what we might describe as fun maths or what might be typically described as fun. But it also refers to using rich tasks, using problems that really engage children and that grab their attention. The curriculum aims to help children see the beauty, the challenge and the power of maths. The primary maths curriculum highlights that how children learn maths is just as important as what they learn. And I'm sure anyone who has had their training day is very familiar with this image of the elements. So the 4 elements, the understanding and connecting, communicating, reasoning, and applying and problem solving are central to maths learning. In the old curriculum, we had the skills that were similar to the elements, but in the new curriculum, they're front and center. You'll see the emphasis there on reasoning and on applying and problem solving. That should permeate maths lessons. The other visual that I'm sure everyone has seen at this stage is the jigsaw that highlights the 5 key pedagogical practices for the new curriculum. So these are explicitly mentioned in the document and are designed to inform teachers' everyday decision making about maths lessons. These are dynamic and interconnected, and they cannot be isolated from each other. So they work together in maths lessons. In Maths My Way, we designed the learning experiences to reflect this interconnectedness of the practices. And there's a huge amount of material in the curriculum itself and on the primary maths curriculum hub by IJA about these practices. In light of the TIMS results that I mentioned at the start, I would particularly draw your attention to the practice of using cognitively challenging tasks and the idea I mentioned at the start of challenging every child during maths lessons. Using these tasks will not only help our higher achieving students, but they'll help all our students. So we're going to have a look at some of the components of Maths My Way. And as we go through them, you'll see how they're linked back to the elements and to the practices that we've just spoken about. So Elaine's going to begin by looking at some of the teaching slides for infants.
Thanks, Patrick. So I'm going to take you through the teaching slides for infants, and then I'm going to pass it back to Patrick, who's going to take you through for first and second class. So we greatly value the role of play in children's mathematical learning. So when we were developing Maths My Way, we wanted to reduce the reliance on the children's book and the infant classroom to allow for more play, for more playful learning experiences for the kids, while still providing a structure that teachers could easily build on, and one that was flexible and suited the needs of our classrooms. And we had so many great ideas, and we really didn't want to bury them in a teacher's guide that we don't have time to be reading. So what we decided to do is create teaching slides. The idea of the teaching slides, they are created for the interactive whiteboard, and they contain some of the information that traditionally would be found in the student book or in the teacher's guide. We wanted to make the most of the flexibility and the interactivity that digital offers us. So when we look a little bit closer at the slides, we can see the slides anchor each lesson, providing a learning pathway that links hands-on learning, digital resources, and book content. So there is a set of slides for each lesson with a clear learning focus, which is linked to the learning outcomes and mathematical concepts of the primary mathematical curriculum. And then there's a handy reference guide to any hands-on resources that might be needed to implement this lesson into your classroom. And there also contains lots of playful learning experiences, and there are lots of different ideas in the slides. For example, you can see here's like a dice game, and if we will look through them, there's loads of different types of activities, which lots contain stimuli for lots of discussion, and lots of times for open-ended tasks, cognitively challenging tasks. It's a lovely one to promote a little bit of maths talk in our classroom. We have lovely prompts that are built throughout the slides at different times that give you options. Here you can see in this one where it actually gives you prompts for the maths talk to take part in your classroom. We've these ideas. We use math size posters to get the children talk about what they see, and then from that lots of different learning can come around, and lots of examples of odd one out. And even these ideas of getting the children talk about what they see, sometimes they might be able to say the answer straight away, and the other kids then might see other things. But it is all about creating a culture of getting children talking about and making their maths visible for them. And then you can see there's lots of lovely different types of ways we scaffold learning. We use lots of different models to provide children to explore, and then we get them to extend their thinking a little bit further. Is there another way you can show me this? And then these ideas of using the 10 frames that you'd be quite familiar with, but again, just getting them to see the connection. You know, a simple one, this might be, why are we using the 3 reds and the 2 yellows, and getting the children to explain the 3 reds, you know, they're representing the frogs, and what do you mean by that? There's 3 frogs that are on the log and the 2 that's in the pond, and they're just trying to make that connection. And then, you know, you can always bring that learning forward by saying, what other ways could you show me this? So you're really getting them trying to explore the different ways and the different models and their different thinking behind these. All right, Patrick, I think back over to you there now for first and second.
Thanks, Elaine. So the teaching slides in first and second are very similar to those at infants, and they really anchor each lesson. So your first protocol at the start of each lesson is your teaching slides, and they provide a pathway that help the children work towards achieving the broad learning outcome and the lesson focus for the particular lesson. This approach is unique to Maths My Way and was designed with both the students and the teachers in mind. So for students, it means that our textbook pages are less busy and more inviting. So there was a lot of things that, as Elaine said, that we wanted to include in the lesson, but by putting it all on the pages became so cluttered. So we came up with this idea of using teaching slides to remove some of the clutter, to make the pages for the children and to make the slides for the teacher. Maths talk prompts, worked examples, different strategies and different teaching points are placed as front of class material on the slides, allowing us to have large and inviting workspaces in the student books. It just freed up so much space. For teachers, When you open your lesson slides, you're ready to teach. Our author team is made up of teachers, and we know how busy classrooms are and how busy all of you are. You won't always have time to read a long lesson plan before your lesson. And with Maths My Way, the slides are there to guide you through the lesson in real time. We were able to place some activities on the slides and not in the book. And this gives you flexibility as well, and agency to adapt to the lesson, to supplement the lesson, or to change the lesson as you see fit. So like in infants, you have the opening slide that shows you the lesson focus, the curriculum information, and the resources that are needed for a particular lesson. We have slides that then show that are used to develop language. So this is a great example of some of the things we were able to remove from the book, that we wanted to have this language model for the children with an explanation, but by placing it on the slide, we were able to include more text that just wouldn't have fit on the student book page, and a video instead of a picture to really demonstrate the language and to bring it to life. We've included, this is an example of an idea that, or a task that is kind of exclusively on the slide and not in the book, but connected to the book activity. And it's an example of the ideas and for playful and engaging learning that are on the slide. So in this task, the children are asked to fold square of paper in half in as many different ways as they can. We have, we have a huge amount of prompts for Maths Talk included on the slides, and these encourage students to share their ideas, their reasoning, and their strategies. So in this example, the students are asked to consider how food could be shared equally with a friend. The slides also help us to scaffold learning. So in the new curriculum, there's a huge emphasis on mathematical modelling and on the children developing their own models for solving different problems. As part of that, we also need to scaffold learning and to help the children develop more efficient models and to help the children progress their models. So the slides give us a huge amount of space to do that. In this lesson, you can see that the children were adding 36 and 27, and the strategy of partitioning was demonstrated with the number line. You doing this on the slides again instead of the book means that we can include animations, we can include interactive spaces that just help to bring these strategies to life. In first and second class, the slides have Amplify Polypad interactives embedded into them. So whatever interactive resources you need for a specific lesson are ready at your fingertips within the slide. And it has all of the tools that anyone who knows Polypad, it was previously called Mathagon, but all of those tools are there for you. So it means that even something simple like if you're front of class and instead of having to start drawing marbles on the board and ringing them to show where they're moved, having Mathagon or having Polypad integrated in means that you can move marbles, you can delete marbles, you can it's fully interactive. It also means that after discussing the question that we had, you can adjust the number of marbles there to adapt the question and to have further discussion with your class. On this slide as well, you'll see that there's the examples of the Maths Talk as well. In each lesson, in first and second class, there's also an extension activity, and these are available on the slides at the end of the lesson. And that chance there to really stretch the children, especially the higher achieving children, and to ensure that every child is challenged and encouraged to reach their full potential. So we're going to have a little look at the student books now, starting off with the infant book.
Thanks, Patrick. So as I mentioned earlier, when we were developing Maths My Way, play was at the core of every decision, and play and how play can support children's mathematical learning was something that I'm very passionate about, and it was something that really influenced, I suppose, how we created our books for our infant classrooms. So we have provided 2 pages per topic per unit for junior infants, and then our senior infant books work very similar. They have 2 to 4 pages per unit, completely depending on the type of topic that they're just exploring. The reason for this is so that we could have that time to spend on those on the type of learning that we know really supports children's mathematical learning, those playful learning experiences where they're spent on hands-on active learning games and activities that really develop children's mathematical thinking. And when we looked at the pages have been very carefully created to provide so that there's really provide opportunities for practice and consolidation, and they're appropriate to the development of the children in the infant classrooms. There's also that freedom and flexibility for teachers to use the student books in the infant class in the way that suits best to their needs of the class. We'll always give you a suggested place where this page may support, whether it is whatever lesson in the slides that it might support. But again, they're also very much able to be standalone as well, so that you can use, as a teacher, you can decide when you want to use this page in that particular unit of work. And the idea is that they can be easily extended as well. If you look at like this, there's a little one there about the patterns, a lovely way of really allowing the children to show you their thinking pattern. You know, lots of children will have different levels. They might be just simply giving you an A-B pattern, your red, blue. Other children's might be more creative and show you the double A, double blue, so A-A-B-B, so red, blue, red. Or someone might show you the ABC pattern where it's red, blue, yellow. Or, you know, some of them might get really fancy and do A-A-B. So depending, the children can come away so creatively, and allowing them the freedom to show you what they know and how and what they understand of pattern in the types of these pages. And then like that, you might think, oh, you know, what else can I do with that? Those pages can be easily extended. You might say, okay, Patrick, have a look there what Kira was doing. Could you maybe copy one of Kira's patterns, or maybe you could extend one of Kira's patterns? Here's another page here to do with the shop. Again, it is open-ended, simply for you as a teacher to take the learning where the children need to take it. Again, it also gets the children to take a little buy-in. When children have created their own resource, they're a lot more willing to get involved and take part of it. And I know from my own experience, like they really get into it when it's their shop and it's their things that they've decided to put on it. Again, as you, the teacher, you can guide them on what prices they're using, or it depends on where you are at in your numbers, whether they're ready to go in infants 1 to 10 cent, or 1 to whatever coins that you're using. If they're well able to recognize your 20 cent or whatever it is, that you as a teacher, you can decide that. And again, you might think, oh, how for other children, they are open that, you can use little pictures. They can cut out little pictures and stick them on as well. Like it's very open, and it's open for a reason, to allow the children to engage with it playfully, but also meaningfully, that it's meaningful to them in a real life context. So it could be a simple thing as things that's in the local shop beside them, if you know what I mean, taking pictures, or using little magazines from the shops, and to use those things to put into their shop in their context. If you want the next one there, Patrick, I think on the next page we also do have lots of, like, your more traditional samples of ideas where the children have to count and write and add. So the idea is that they're these models are there for them too, to give them that practice and that consolidation. And then, you can lift that off the page as well. You might be saying, okay, to the boys and girls, like, how else can you show me that? Like, then they might be doing it on their whiteboards, or they could be using it with their cubes or their 10 frames as well. Here's an example of a data page in the infants. We're again just recording real life data for them, because I think sometimes the children, they get it and they don't get it. So this is a lovely example of just what is a very simple form of data. So a little game for them, and they record their answers on the playing board sheet as such that's it's provided in their books. And again, it's dependent, as you as teacher, you can play it in many different ways. And for example, like myself and Patrick could play on this page, and then Patrick could play somebody else on his book, or you could use different colors, and depending on the next game, you're using red for the first game, and then you might move on to a different color. And there's lots of opportunities to extend these games, get the children really thinking about ways that they can collect data meaningfully in these infant classrooms. If you go on there to the next one, Patrick, for me, it's just an example of an early page in senior infants book. And again, it's just we're all very familiar with this. I'm sure we've all done variations of this ourselves, but it's a lovely way. I give the guide is there for 1 to 5, but if your class is ready for more numbers and you want the bingo game to go on a little bit further, of course, that is optional for you. It's not us being prescriptive to say this is the numbers you have to do. It is suggestive, and it's there for the teacher to take it to meet the needs of their classroom. And I think Patrick is. Yes, this page actually my own class this year they absolutely loved it. You look at it straight away and you think, oh sure, they're just drawn 8 eyes, 6 eyes, 9 eyes, 7 eyes. But when you have the freedom, and something I was very passionate about when we were doing these pages, I didn't want fussy pages. Patrick mentioned that as well. We didn't want the pages to be absolutely covered with things. And this is a lovely example where the kids did it. And then we had time to have compare with the person's side. Did you draw the same way as the other person? And how did you make 8s, or how did you draw your eyes? And they were able to say, well, I have 4 on this side and 4 on the other side. And somebody else might be showing you, well, I actually had 6 on top and 2 on bottom. So they're summatizing for you, and it's a lovely way for them to start to see and visualize the numbers, and using that to compare it up to your friends. That partner talk, getting children talking about their maths, is so important. And I feel like that the pages here in the infant classroom, they really lend themselves to that. And I think, oh yeah, Patrick, it's again just another example of some more models of that. Again, the counting strategies, drawing 1 more, drawing 2 more, and then you can take that off the page again by getting them to how else could you show me that? So that idea, they're visually seeing, I'm adding 1 more. And then, some of them will be well able to start writing you those number sentences. Some of them might have to show it to you using cubes or counters or whatever it might be. But it is really just an opportunity for children to really make connections in their learnings. And that's what these pages are really, really trying to promote for the kids. Algebra, then, we just don't talk about the patterns. We are the part of the curriculum now in the infants that we're looking at the growing and shrinking of number patterns. And this is a very straight away that the pattern's almost established in that first one, and the boys and girls might just start drawing 4 towers, 5 towers, 6 towers. But then it's getting that discussion. You have that time then, because the pages aren't fussy, to really say, well, what did you notice? It says here a growing pattern. What does it mean by a growing pattern? And getting the children trying to explain from what they're doing, explain it to a partner, or then explain it back to the group, or to use the teacher, whatever it might be. So yeah, it's just very visually appealing, and lots of way to I suppose make it as meaningful for the kids as possible. And again, lots of lovely examples to do that practice and consolidation work as well that the children do need. And being able to see as a teacher, what are they seeing, and how what are they taking the meaning from it, rather than us just simply giving them a sum and off you go and find the answer. It's like letting them it's I suppose it's flipping it around for them. And I think that is our. Oh yes, onto the practice books then as well for infants. So for junior infants and senior infants, there is a practice number book that has been developed for both of these classes. And these books specifically focus on reading, writing, and understanding numbers. And they can work well both in class, or you can use a link if that's what you would like to do in depending on your context of your school. And again, the numbers, they're very very similar. We don't have them mapped into the program as such. They are there for you as a teacher to use at where you most feel the need for these books to be used. Perfect. So I think that is me now, Patrick. Back over to you.
Thanks a million. So the books in first and second class do play a greater role than in the infant level as the children's reading and writing skills develop. So in each book, there are 32 units with 1 unit per week. As teachers, we know how important it is for the series to have a clear structure that's predictable, that's easy to follow, and easy to incorporate into our fortnightly plans. We also know how important it is to actually be able to complete a book in a busy academic year. In each unit, there are 4 core lessons in first and second class. So you see there from the mapping that we have lesson 1 to 4. And each of these lessons has 1 book page and a set of teaching slides. There are also 2 practice pages at the end of each unit for consolidation. So in total, there's 6 pages per unit. The order of units in first and second class are very closely aligned. And this was done purposefully to support our colleagues teaching in multi-grade classrooms. So when you're teaching time with first class, you'll be teaching time with second class as well. The Maths My Way textbooks really do work hand in hand with the teaching slides. So if you've gotten an evaluation copy from your local sales rep and you're flicking through the book, do just remember that you're not seeing the full picture when you're just seeing the book. The teaching slides are there to support each and every lesson. We would strongly suggest that you begin each lesson with the slides. And as you see here on the slides, you're prompted to complete the textbook activities at different intervals during the lesson. So here's an example of a slide, and you can see the book icon and the page that it's referred, that the page that matches this activity in the icon, and that will tell you when it's time to move to the book. The different activities we've developed are interactive. So here you see a 2D shape sorting circle where the children are asked to cut out shapes and come up with rules for making shape families and to sort them using the circle. We've included different models. So you see the 10 frame at the top of this page where we ask the children to use counters with the 10 frame there on the page for the various activities that come underneath. We have lovely visuals throughout. So here we have an example of a data challenge for the children, and similar to Elaine's, it's that idea of monsters meeting the children where their interests are and trying to make these topics really engaging for children. We've included games throughout. So you'll see with the 100 square there for there's a game where they're covering numbers on the 100 square and trying to guess where their partner has placed their cross, and lots of open workspaces for the children. So in this page, you can see where we've included the grid workspace for the children to have space to try and figure out the solution to the problem. They could also use their whiteboards to supplement this if they wanted to do lots of trial and error at the start, but there's space there as a record of the children's strategies and how the children approach the problem. You see more another game here and challenges as well, looking at doubles as a strategy for number facts, but again trying to do it in a way that's playful, that's engaging, and that challenges our students. So there's just some more examples here of the slides where of the book pages. The designers have done a great job taking the content that we wrote and making it look really attractive and really bringing it to life. So if you haven't seen the sample yet, I really would recommend getting in touch with your local rep and actually getting the book in your hands. And some of the slides are already up on folens.ie that you can look. You can look at the book unit and the slides hand in hand. There's fractions for first class and there's addition for second class there. In the book, you have the same useful information that you'd have seen on the slides. So you have the strand and the strand unit. You have the lesson focus. So it's there for you at the bottom of the page if you're flicking through the book the week before to try and see what's coming up next. You have a reference to which slides match this page, but don't feel worried that you're going to have to go searching through huge amounts of lists of resources to try and find the right slides. When you open the ebook on Folens Online, there'll be a link to the matching slides on each page. So it's there for you. Anyone who's using one of the other Folens programs like Oberlum will be very familiar with this already, that the digital resources that go with each page are linked into the ebook so that everything is just there for you. You have a self-assessment icon, and you also have an icon showing the physical or the concrete resources that are suggested for this lesson. At the end of each unit then, as I mentioned, you have 2 practice pages. So these are just a few examples of the practice pages that are there to consolidate learning. You might decide to use them throughout the week. You might decide to use them on a Friday. You might use them for assessment or even for homework. So they're there for you. And again, there's flexibility for you as the teacher. Next, we're going to move on to some of the digital resources and looking at infants first again.
So in addition to the teaching slides and the student books, Maths My Way also includes a suite of digital resources that provide stimuli, modelling and fluency practice. We're just going to take a closer look at some of them right here now. So there's videos to show maths in the real world. So I'm hoping that this will work. Patrick's going to just check with his sign there.
5 is all around us.
Perfect.
5. 5. 5. 5.
5 is all.
Perfect. And something similar will be made for every number. So something similar will be available for each of the numbers. And here's a number song to develop number sense in a playful way. And it's fabulous.
Five little speckled frogs sat on a speckled log, eating the most delicious bugs.
Yum, yum.
One jumped into the pool where it was nice and cool. Then there were 4 green speckled frogs. Glub, glub.
And we also have number formation videos to support children's writing skills. And again, there'll be a video for each number. And then we have games that can help to develop fluency for the kids.
Click the picture that shows 5.
We have lovely odd one out activities, which are great for discussion and to promote critical and creative thinking. And then we also have posters to develop MathSci and prompt-rich discussion. So this is a lovely example, and the questions are there. But these are actually also a lovely one where you get the children to pose questions. And if you've had your day with IDGA, like one of the parts of the elements when they talk about applying and problem solving is getting the children to pose questions. So there is suggested questions here, but there's also a lovely resource that you can use to get the children to pose their own questions about what they see. If you press play there, Patrick, I think it might show some of the questions.
Where is the bear? Are there more purple flowers or pink flowers? Which flowers are taller, the purple flowers or the pink flowers?
Lovely. Thanks, Elaine. And apologies for the sound there. I know it's quite low, but if you want to see any of these resources as well and have a look at them, they are all on folens.ie under Maths My Way. So in first and second class, there's a huge suite of digital resources as well, and they're similar to those found at the infant level. So similarly, we have a video to show maths in the real world. Here, this is with fractions for first class.
Say you want to share a pizza equally between you and a friend. How can you do this? That's right. You can cut the pizza into 2 equal parts. A half is one of 2 equal parts of a whole. Cutting in half means splitting one thing into 2 equal parts. Like this. Or this.
Videos like this are important when we want to include them, because in an ideal world, the night before you'd have gone to Tesco and you'd have bought the oranges and the cabbage or whatever it is you want to split in half, but you won't always have time to do that. So having the videos that model this and show this for the children is a good, it's the next best thing, and to have that there for you so that you're not just talking about it, that you can show the children that happening. We also use videos to illustrate mathematical modeling for the children. And again, this is like what we mentioned earlier. In the old books that were out there, these would just have been printed into the book. So it was there, it was static. You either understood it or you didn't. Whereas with the video, it does go more step by step, and we're able to use animations to help it make more sense. We can include, and you'll see here how the images of concrete resources are used alongside it to try and make the column addition strategy make more sense for our students.
Let's use the column method to solve 39 plus 14. Start by writing 39. 39 has 3 tens and 9 ones.
And these videos will also be available to share with parents as well, which I know a lot of teachers wanted as part of the program. We have a huge range of games to go with Maths My Way. This is an example of a bingo game where you can print out the cards in advance and then pick which way you want to play the game, and the questions come up and the answers are obviously on the bingo cards, and you can check the bingo cards by putting in an ID. But there's a huge range of games there. And just to mention as well that anyone who's using Planet Maths previously, one of the things that people loved about Planet Maths was the games, and they are being repurposed for Maths My Way. So all of the games that you loved in Planet Maths will still be there to access with Maths My Way as well. We have our Math Size posters that are very, very similar to those at the infant level.
What do you notice? How could you sort the gingerbread people into groups? What question would you ask about this picture?
And there we have the example, like what Elaine mentioned, about the children posing their own questions about the picture as well. One of the new features that we've brought in with Maths My Way is the share feature. So for each of our games, with one click, you can generate a QR code, and there is a short link that the children could type into the browser. But the QR code or the link will bring up the game on the child's own device. So if you have iPad time once a week, you can use the games on the iPads. If I was using this in my class, I think I'd definitely be adding these to my maths display board. So I'd be building up the bank of games that we've done throughout the year, so that maybe if you had station teaching going on in your room, you could have one group that would have access to all of the different games you've done this year. A great chance to consolidate learning, to recap on all the different topics, and to encourage that playfulness and that engagement with maths as well. Okay, so next we're going to look at Maths My Way and how it's really connected into the primary maths curriculum. So Elaine is going to chat about encouraging playfulness.
Okay, so if you remember back, and you're probably all very familiar with the jigsaw puzzle piece, the 5 key pedagogical practices, encouraging playfulness is one of those pedagogical practices that are promoted in the new primary maths curriculum. And we carefully designed Maths My Way to support teachers in providing playful learning experiences for every class. And on the teaching slides, there are suggestions for easy to implement playful activities that have been tried and tested with children. And the student books then also prompt and support playful learning experiences, and they offer different things like games, game suggestions, or providing game boards for the kids, and also having a space for the children to record their play where supported. The teaching notes then that accompany the program will support teachers in scaffolding these children's mathematical learning as they engage in these playful activities. And these experiences really provide opportunities for us to develop a wide range of mathematical skills skills for the children, which are including your reasoning, your arguing, your justifying, your problem solving, and your communicating. They support children's evolving mathematical understanding of the concepts and of the mathematical language. And they really have a great potential to deepen children's mathematical understanding and develop their productive disposition towards maths, which is one of the other key pedagogical practices. Thanks, Patrick.
As I mentioned at the start, I think using cognitively challenging tasks is a really important element of this curriculum and something we use throughout Maths My Way. We designed the program with problem solving at its core, and rich tasks are used throughout to challenge students at their level. This thing of children being active in mathematical modelling is another one of the 5 practices, one of the 5 jigsaw pieces. And we've encouraged this and encouraged children to develop this modelling by providing large open workspaces like the ones you can see on the screen there. And these are particularly useful for our problem solving tasks. And they encourage children to model maths in a way that makes sense to them. Children are probably most familiar with doing this maybe on whiteboards. And while whiteboards are absolutely brilliant and they're an excellent tool to have in every class, sometimes there is that feeling that maybe, you know, it's rubbed out afterwards, and children don't maybe see that the value is there on the different jottings that they did, or on the picture they drew to help explain the task, or on all the different ways they tried to find to get to the answer. So these large workspaces show that work is valued, that it's not just rough work, that it's really deep maths thinking. And in these spaces, the children might, you know, they might draw, they might use numbers, they might write, or they might use a combination of all these things. Our aim is that all students should experience success, that maths is for everyone. And having workspaces like this value all solution strategies. So the child who wrote the equation or the number sentence to solve the problem, and the child next to them who drew a picture to solve the problem, both solve the problem. Both strategies are valued and discussed, and similarities can be made between them. We used open-ended tasks throughout, and they're designed again with the large workspaces, and they have multiple solutions. With tasks like this, language and reading is less of a barrier than it would be with traditional word problems. So certainly when I was in school, at the end of each chapter, there was a list of questions, a list of word problems, and you had to read each one and there was one solution. So that required a huge level of literacy, a huge amount of reading and comprehension. Whereas with an open-ended task, you read the task once, or you read the task a number of times, but it's the one task, but there's multiple solutions. So there's huge scope there for really delving deep into the context, for finding different solutions and really focusing on the maths at hand rather than maybe the reading of the problem. And they work on these tasks for a sustained period of time. They really provide for deeper engagement with the particular content. We also include many low threshold, high ceiling tasks. And again, these are very useful for our colleagues teaching multi-grade classrooms, because a low entry, high ceiling task is one that all children should be able to access and all children should be able to get stuck with. So it has that low entry point, but there's also there's that challenge there. So similar to open-ended tasks, children work on these for a sustained period of time. So they require a bit of time, and every child should be able to engage with them. So if there's an example here from our 3D shape unit where the children are constructing Bold's house. So every child with the construction material will be able to make a house for Bold. But some will create structures that are a lot more elaborate than others, and some will draw the parts of the house in greater detail than others. The important thing is that everyone's effort is valued, and using tasks like these and the record of learning that's recorded in the book is excellent formative assessment information for you as a teacher. There's a wealth of data there on the children's understanding and their progress with the topic. Next, we're going to have a look at Maths Talk.
Great. So as authors, we highly value the role of Maths Talk and what it plays in equipping children with the tools to make their learning visible. So when we're writing Maths Talk, when we were writing Maths My Way, we placed great focus on designing rich tasks and playful activities that really promoted children's mathematical talk. And then what we did was we added these Math Talk prompts into our teaching slides for each lesson to really help get discussion started and support classes and making Maths Talk a part of the routine of every maths lesson. So really trying to create a culture of Maths Talk in our classrooms. And then we also provided further suggestions and guidance for teachers and the accompanying teaching notes to really scaffold the children's Maths Talk. So when we're talking about Maths Talk, we're not just talking about the key vocabulary that the children might be exposed to in this unit of work. It is about getting the children to talk about the how, and the more comfortable and the more used they are at describing their thinking, they become very more confident with it, and it really just opens up a whole new experience for them and really understanding, seeing themselves as mathematical and seeing that maths is for everyone. And it also, for the teacher, it gives you such it's an absolute golden nugget for you to see what is their understanding of maths, what connections are they making, what do I need to do to really scaffold their learning forward. So in our slides we have those prompts, and they are built into every single one of our lessons to really create, as I say, that culture of Maths Talk, getting the children talking about their maths and making their thinking visible.
Lovely. So throughout Maths My Way, as we've mentioned throughout, really, when we were looking at the student book pages, we've included different strategies and different models to support children in developing their number sense. So we have 10 frames used throughout, part whole models, number lines, and these are all used to illustrate strategies. And then we have the open workspaces, like we mentioned, to give students flexibility to choose how to model the maths in a way that makes sense to them. We emphasize the use of concrete resources throughout, and practical hands-on tasks are included for this. We also have Mathagon there, or Polypad there, to allow for these strategies and these models to be illustrated on the interactive whiteboard. They can be used on iPads if the children have them as well. And it just gives more access to these resources. You know, if it's a case that the concrete resource isn't there, or you don't have access to it, but you do have access to the digital technology like iPads, then the children can still access these resources and access the different ways of modeling maths. Okay, so next we're going to have a look at the planning and the assessment support that comes with Maths My Way.
So to support teachers in using Maths My Way program, we really wanted to make it as easy as possible to complete your recorded preparation. And what we've done is we designed planning and assessment materials that are concise, they're teacher friendly, and they can be edited, which I think is a very key thing there. And they are clearly aligned to the curriculum. So when we look closely at this, we will see there's a unit plan for every unit that outlines how it is mapped to the primary mathematical curriculum. So there you'll see your learning outcomes, as Patrick described earlier, your big mathematical ideas. And then you have your mathematical concepts then that unit is looking towards. Then we have examples of the mathematical language that may come up within this unit of work. Then we also outline prior knowledge. So that's what we're thinking here is the knowledge that children they need in order to move forward, and this kind of all of the things that you've done before that's really stacked them up to this point of this particular work in the unit. And then we have potential misconceptions, and these are clearly stated to give you a little idea of any of things that you might be mindful of as you're working through this unit of work. Then if you look a little bit closer, then we have a suggested overview for each week is provided. And what it does, it shows it at a glance the focus of new learning. So, you know, every lesson has a focus of learning, and it allows you then to see what each lesson is was going to be entailing for you as the teacher. What are you looking out for within this lesson? And then it gives you a handy reference on the teaching slides that are available to you, and then the student's book. So this is an example of first and second class. You can see the book pages are clearly aligned to what the lessons are and the slide numbers. Something similar will be there for infants as well. But as I said to you earlier, not every lesson has a page in the book, and the pages that we for the infants, they're there as a suggestion, and you can use them at what suits you best in your classroom. And then we also give you a very handy reference of suggested concrete resources that you may need to implement that lesson into your classroom. And then there is a one-page for each lesson, which contains teaching notes to support the learning experiences that the lesson provides. So it just gives you a little bit of further information. And then it also has the anticipated student responses. So it just gives you a little inkling into kind of the things that children might, their responses to the questions that are being asked of them. And there also then is support for further key questions and that maths talk that I was talking about earlier to really promote that culture of maths talk in your classroom. We also have a section on differentiation, so that idea is how to support your struggling learners and how to challenge any of your advanced learners within that lesson. So how they can be supported to reach the level that they are working at. And then we do have a list of additional hands-on activities and games that might work for your classroom, because every classroom is different. Every teacher sets up their classroom differently, whether you're doing a whole class, whether you have your station teaching, or whether you have team teaching. We have the lessons, the ideas on the slides for you, but then there's also those other hands-on activities, additional ideas that help to consolidate and reinforce the learning that is in that particular lesson. And if we move now then on to having a look at assessment. So as we are aware, assessment of mathematical learning occurs on a continuum, and much of the assessment that we will gather for mathematics will be informal. And Maths My Way is designed in this way to create rich mathematical moments in the classroom, which provide us, the teachers, to use various assessment tools to gain deeper insights into children's level of understanding and thinking. And these insights is what best places us as a teacher to really guide that children's learning forward. And in the unit plans, you will find support for these rich mathematical moments for assessment, for the way we use high quality question techniques that are well crafted, they are open-ended, and they're related to the focus of learning. So I think that's really important. So the questions that we have designed for each unit, they are purposely designed to suit that unit of work. And then to support like the more formal events of assessment, we do have Maths My Way printable assessments. These can be edited so that they can be adapted to meet the needs of the individual students in your class, whatever stage they are on in their mathematical journey. So I think that's a really important thing too, is that they're there for you as a teacher to use where you see they're the fit for them in your classroom.
So just to coming to a close, and thank you everyone for listening to us. Just to briefly mention 3rd to 6th class. So just so you're all aware, work is already underway for Maths My Way 3rd to 6th, which will be launching in 2025. Our author team is really busy after school each day and designing exciting and engaging units for the senior classrooms. But the good news is that you don't have to wait until then to get your hands on a program to support the new curriculum in senior classes. Myself, Elaine, and one of our other Maths My Way authors, Grace Lynch, also developed the My Problem Solving journal series with phones, and we designed that in anticipation of the new curriculum. As I mentioned at the start, the curriculum is new, but the research that curriculum is based on has been out for many years. My Problem Solving Journal is the ideal resource to help support you in introducing the pedagogies of the curriculum in the senior classes. The way it's designed is as one lesson per week, So one rich mathematical task per week that you can use alongside whatever program you're currently using. So it's aligned to the textbooks that are on the market for 36 at the minute. So problem solving journal helps students to develop their problem solving skills, their reasoning, their maths talk, and it will be mapped to the learning outcomes of the primary maths curriculum, the new curriculum, in a clear planning document that will be available online for you as well. So we really hope that you and your students enjoy using Maths My Way with junior infants to second class and problem solving journal from 1st to 6th, and we look forward to being back here again this time next year to talk about 3rd to 6th. So I'll pass back to Ciara now.
Great. Thank you very much, Patrick and Elaine, for a really lovely overview of what's available in the programme. It was lovely to hear how bits and pieces of it, work in your classroom as well, and how you found that experience. Just before we go into the Q&A, there's been so much chat going on. It's been brilliant, and actually thank you all for everyone for the kind of love you've shared for the features that we have and some of the different bits and pieces as the guys have been talking through them there. I just want to very briefly mention concrete resources. I'm just checking you can all see my slides now that I've swapped over from Patrick. Thanks, guys. Always a fear that no one will be able to see what I'm sharing. But as we were going out and sharing this program with teachers, a lot of teachers have been asking us about concrete resources, whether we are providing them. And I know a lot of you are probably doing inventory on what you have available in your schools at the moment. So just to say, we have now, as of the last couple of weeks, we've partnered up with a supplier, and we are now providing or selling concrete resources, and we've got a catalogue of them available. You can pick and choose whatever you need. We didn't want to just put together one defined set, because when we were talking to schools, we found that they already had a few bits of different things and needed to fill other gaps. So you can just pick and choose whatever you like. And we do have a 15% discount available to Maths My Way customers and my problem solving journal customers until the 31st of May. That is running. So if you're interested in any of that, just get in touch with your local sales rep. You can find their details on folens.ie if you don't already have them. Just to mention as well that we recently got some lovely whiteboards created. I have them here with me. They're nice, thick, good whiteboards rather than the flimsy ones which can easily get broken or damaged. And they're double-sided. So you can see those there. We also have those. We have a special offer running with those. So the first 500 schools to adopt Maths My Way will get class sets of these for free. So it's a nice little offer that's running at the moment as well, if you're interested in those. I think you should all be getting a poll popped up on your screen just now. If you would like to be entered into our little competition here this evening, we are giving away €150 worth of concrete resources of your choice from that catalogue. All you have to do is answer the question that's popped up in the poll, and then someone will be picked. So quite straightforward. I hope everyone can see that okay. And then once everyone's answered that, we'll just answer some of the bigger questions that have come up during the presentation. I've replied to quite a few things in the chat as we've gone along, but there was a couple of things that said we'd revisit once I had Patrick and Elaine to answer them as well. So I'll give you a second just to do that. In the meantime, I am going to scroll back up to the top of the chat here because we've had so many people commenting. I can see, I don't know if all of you can see the poll results being shared here, but everything being in one place seems to be one of the top things that's coming out in response to what you like about the programme, and closely followed by the interactive teaching slides. That's absolutely brilliant. I will say as well, it's been really lovely to see an overview this evening, but there is so much more to explore. So I really would encourage everyone to get onto folens.ie and have a look at those samples that are up there. Get in touch with your local rep to get some samples of the books as well, because there really is so much more to see, but we don't want to keep everyone here all night going through it. So, okay, let me just see. Sorry, there's so many more comments have come in since then. I think our winner has possibly been picked. Sorry, I'm just going to check in here. I think some people are having trouble with the poll. I'm going to just go ahead into the Q&A. And I know Linda is working very hard in the background here in the chat as well to make sure everyone is can have access to everything. So I'll let Linda work through that. And in the meantime, we will crack on with the Q&A because I'm sure people want to get on with their evenings as well. Okay, so just checking what we have. Sorry, folks, it's one of the busiest chats we've ever had actually during a webinar. We have great attendance this evening. Okay, so someone did ask, Elaine, this is probably more so directed at you for the infant end. Just saying that the games and the maths activities are great, but would like to have more book pages as they have 4 classes. So I've already kind of just replied in the chat to say we have 1 page per day for first and second class, but do appreciate that we have gone for less pages for infants. And I mentioned that we will have some printables available so that, you know, if you need a little bit of extra written work, so you might like to elaborate on that.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. When you have a 4 classes in one group, I can imagine setting up that type of maths learning is quite tricky. But yeah, I suppose the idea about the less pages in the infants, like it was designed purposely so that children would have lots of hands-on learning experiences. And I suppose like the thing is with junior and senior infants, like if they're both together, there is a way to getting them, as Patrick even mentioned, those that low threshold, high ceiling tasks, so that they can work together and they can be extending their learning within those types of groups settings. So yeah, I think while the pages are simply to consolidate and to practice the learning and to really get them engaged in it, there is like the practice books is there as well, but also getting the children, the purpose is really getting them to have those hands-on learning experiences. And I suppose the digital resources are there to really try to give you lots of, I suppose, scaffold and support to help you try to implement that into your classroom.
Thanks, Elaine. Lots of people asking about the programme being available as Gaeilge. I've kind of put the same reply in each time just to say that we would love to do a version as Gaeilge. As a lot of you probably know, COG is the authority in charge of supplying the learning resources for Gaeltacht schools and Gael Scoilne, and we hope that they will be tendering for a new programme for the primary maths curriculum soon, and we will certainly be the first in line to apply for that when they do. So hopefully that's something that you will see coming soon, but we are just waiting for COG on that front because they look after all the translation to make sure that the language is suitable for each level within a Gael Scoil or Gaeltacht school. Elaine, another one for you. So Debbie asked about looking at the number as a learning outcome and if there's a limit to what's covered in our books in terms of junior infants and senior infants, because she was saying that on their planning day, the recommendation was there should be no limit to the number as there was in the previous curriculum.
Yeah, and this is something we had lots and lots of discussions about, because like that, I feel very passionate about not putting a ceiling on anybody's learning, especially in the infant classroom. I've been working in infants for many, many years, and we all know about the ceilings that we've been working with over the last little while. What we kind of worked with in junior and senior infants, because we were trying to provide a structure. We do have working between they're recognizing the numbers 1 to 10 in junior infants, and then they move on to recognize the numbers then up to as far as 20 in senior infants. And we were very guided by I suppose the curriculum that is available to us. And when you look at the sample learning journeys from the progression continuum, like we were guided by that about what do they hope the children will be working towards by the end of stage 1. And things like that. So that's we have given that structure, but at the same time, the tasks that we have given, they are purposely designed to not have a ceiling as well. Like the children can take them where they need to take them. You know, what we do is we're looking over how the numbers are formed, and you know those that are structured there for you. Kira, I think you've mentioned this. Math My Way will have a number pack for each of the numbers, but they will be available for junior infants and senior infants, if I'm correct in that. So like, you know, it is completely at the teacher's discretion. Like the teacher in each class, you're the one who's most knowledgeable of your class, and every class is so different. And I totally agree. It's not right for anybody to be prescriptive at that, but in those early years, because every child comes at you with different, I suppose, levels. But at the same time, what we've done is like, we really wanted to help those children get a really strong foundation on those early numbers, so that then they can continue to build upon them. And we just, we have provided that little structure there, but it is completely, the tasks that are there are open-ended, that the teachers can take that on where they need to take it on.
Absolutely. Thanks, Elaine. And yeah, you're completely right. We have a number pack available for each number with songs and poems and number formation videos and games. And those are available at both infant classes, so that you can go at the pace that suits the children in front of you, and you can revise as needed and you can extend as needed. So there's lots of options there with that. Someone else was asking just about a practice book or shadow book to go along with first and second class for homework. So I did mention a little bit in the chat, but just to confirm, we will have a practice book that is launching next year. So that will be a homework option. But in the meantime, there still are homework options that you can have with Maths My Way. So you will have seen in the structure there, first and second class, as Patrick was talking through it, that the 2 pages that come at the end of each unit, they are designed for consolidation and as the kind of task that children can complete more independently. So they could be used for homework if you wish, and they have been designed in such a way that there's usually 4 tasks, so that they can be used for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and they align with the 4 lessons that you do during the week. But there's also lots of teachers who've been quite excited about using the QR codes to send games home for homework, so that children can have a kind of a fun homework where they play a game that consolidates their learning from the week. And we will have other suggestions as well in our teaching notes of practical homework the children can do at home. So there's a couple of different options there, but we will have a practice book coming next year as well, if that is what suits you best. Okay, just going to scroll down through here. A couple of people asking about why we've used the term ones rather than units. That is purely from the curriculum. So in the progression continue in the curriculum, you'll see they've used ones rather than units. So we just aligned ourselves with that. Everyone will get a printed teacher's guide with the unit plans as well, if that's something you're worried about in terms of having everything online. You will also get your printed teacher guide. As Patrick mentioned, 3rd to 6th class coming out for next September, but we will have samples available as early as November. There will be samples available so you can get a sneak peek of the programme. As Patrick mentioned, everyone's already working very hard on getting 3rd to 6th class ready. So we will have lots to share with you, and it will follow the same structure as 1st and 2nd. So what you've seen here this evening you will apply to 3rd to 6th class as well, but obviously with content suitable to 3rd to 6th class. Okay, let me go down another little bit here. Planning, the learning, as you've probably seen at this stage, the learning outcomes, new learning experiences are covered in the planning, and Elaine just showed you the unit plan there, but there will also be fortnightly plans, as well as the basis of what can form your whole school plan. So your junior infants up to 2nd class, exactly what's been covered throughout the year, the vocabulary used, all of that. So very handy for developing new whole school plans, which I'm sure everyone has to do for the new curriculum coming up now. So it'll give you a nice support and a start for doing that as well. I've mentioned about the whiteboards. Okay, let me just see if there's anything else here that I haven't covered. Just some really nice comments about what's working well for people. Someone asked, is it a new problem solving journal? Nope, it is the one that you bought 2 years ago. It is still the same one, but we will update the planning at the very beginning just to map it into the new curriculum. So obviously it's currently mapped into the 99 curriculum, so we'll just update it to align with the strands and strand units of the new curriculum, but that'll just be a document online for your own reference. The books are exactly the same and they were designed with this curriculum in mind. I'll just check in case I've missed anything else. Thank you everyone for the very nice comments about the programme. It's really lovely to see that things are resonating with people. Yeah. That seems to be everything. If there is anything we've missed, we will follow up with you afterwards. There's just hundreds and hundreds of comments there. So myself and Linda will go through these afterwards, make sure we've caught everything. But other than that, thank you all very much. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your evenings. And please do check out the rest of the programme on folans.ie.